Students, and welcome back again. Today is another session concerning unit number 48. We'll be working on exercise C. So the objective is to read a story and complete the missing words. Now, this is a story about Zoe and her book she is reading. You remember Zoe from exercise B? So, first, let's read the story. Last Tuesday, Zoe's father bought his daughter a present from the new bookshop in the town center. It was a story that Zoe wanted to read about a woman who sailed round the world in a very small boat. Her name was Mary Banks, and she was only 22. It was a very exciting story. Sometimes the waves were really big and the wind was very strong. She saw jellyfish and sharks in the sea. She was never frightened. When Mary came home, lots of people wanted to read about her. There was a website about Mary's trip around the world and an ebook. There was a story about her on the back of Zoe's favorite comic too. Zoe loved reading about Mary. "Can we a boat, Dad?" she asked. "I want to sail around the world too." Zoe's father smiled. "I think that's a great idea, Zoe, but first you must learn to..." That was the first reading of the story. I want you to read the story for 3 times, pausing the video at this point, and then you continue the next steps. Okay, now, after reading and focusing on the first part exactly of the story, we want to find an answer for these questions. Pay attention. So, what was the woman's name? And how old was she? All the answers are in the first paragraph, in the first part. You answer, then you continue. Now, the answers are: What was the woman's name? Her name was Mary Banks. And she was 23 years old. Okay? We continue, and this time with the second part of the story. So read it carefully. Then you can move to the question. The question here is: where could people learn more about Mary? According to the paragraph number 2, they can learn on a website or in a comic. These are the answers that we have. Now, you're going to read the last part of the story. Actually, you have plenty of time to read through to the end. Now, the question is, of the last part, of course, is: what does Zoe want to do now? What does Zoe want to do now? Do you have the answer? All right, it's this one. Sail around the world. That's what she wants to do. Okay. I'm insisting on reading the story for many times again. Now you read the story again and again, and choose one of the words under the pictures that you have. So you have 9 pictures with 9 words. You choose for each gap and write them on the lines to fill the gaps in the story. Okay, take your time again and let's have the correction. So, the first missing word is, we have the sentence, she saw jellyfish and sharks. Between them, we need another type of fish or creatures that we find in the sea. That is, we're talking about whales. Good job. Now, sentence or the second word, we have she was often, but she was never frightened. So, we have to add an adjective. And the only adjective that we have from these words is the adjective tired. So she was often tired, but she was never frightened. Good. We continue with the third missing word. So there was a story about her on the back. On the back. So we have a book, a story. That means a page. So the missing word is page. It's related to comic, book, story, and so on. Next. So, Zoe loved reading about Mary. Can we an ebook or a boat that? A boat that? So what can we do with a boat? It's to buy it. So here, Zoe is suggesting to buy a boat on her dad. So the verb is buy. And the last answer or the last word is, so that's a great idea, Zoe. But first, you must learn to. So when we have learn to, it's followed by a verb. And the only verb that we still have after the verb buy, is swim. It's very important to know what is the nature of the word that we need. Is it a noun, a verb, or an adjective, and so on. Because this is the key and it helps a lot. Okay, now you take the correction of the missing words. If you have finished, we're going to continue with the second part of the question related to this exercise, which is about choosing the best name for the story. So let's choose the best name for this story of Mary Books. Okay, now there are 3 possible names for this story. Which is the best name for our story? Is it the first one, Dad's New Boat? or Zoe's sailing lesson, or learning about Mary? Do you have the answer? Perfect. The best answer and the best name for this story is Learning about Mary. So, did Zoe's father have a boat? No. So the first name for the story is not right. About number 3. Did Zoe have a sailing lesson? No. So the third answer or the third name is not right. And the correct one is learning about Mary. In this page you have all the answers. I want you to take the correction after reading, of course, the story many times, and see you